Welcome to RomWills Money Matters. Think in terms of having an abundance of money. And this is connected with that whole money consciousness thing. Think about having an abundance of money. Just think in terms of it. Think about having more money than you know what to do with. So much money, hey, you can put some away in your savings because you're not spending it. See, one of the things you want to do is always think. Start there. As I always say, and I've said on my Deep Thought channel, change your mind and your body will follow. I'll keep it clean here. Some people will say, hey, change your mind and your ass will follow. Well, it's the same thing. Look, think in terms of having enough money. Because remember, what do they call money? Currency. Currency. It's an energy. It's an energy. Anything can be money. I mean, it's not just the dollar bills. Because that's an idea. It represents something. But a lot of people, they have credit cards or they have bank cards. That's still money. A 0 and a 1, something on a computer, something on a device. Indeed, some people be paying for stuff with their devices. But here's the thing, though. You got to think about an abundance of it. What can you do to bring in more money? And I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But you got to think in terms of it. Because one of the problems that I see with a lot of people who have a poverty consciousness, they don't think in terms of having a lot of money. They think they embrace being broke and they laugh about it. I've talked about this before, but this is very important. Your thoughts are very important. If you're thinking that, oh yeah, I'm broke, and you're always thinking that, that's what you're going to be. That's what you're going to be. Your subconscious is telling you, hey, you're broke. Okay, I'm not going to do anything extra. You're not going to think about looking for that part-time job you might could get because you would have more money. You're not going to think about what can you do on your job to make more money? How can you move up? Because you're not thinking about it. Like on this retail job I had, and I've mentioned this before, I was minimum wage for 2 whole weeks. 2 whole weeks. They had to give me more money because I was thinking, how can I make more money? Even though at the time I was working on a retail job and an office job, but the office job was good 30 miles away, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I just did a good job on that retail job, and so they said, okay. And at the time I was part-time, and they said, okay, we need to keep you around a bit longer. I said, yeah, I need to give me more money because I was thinking about making more money. Indeed, I put in a lot of overtime at that particular job, more money. And I still had my publishing business, more money. I was still doing vending shows, more money. If nothing else, Ron was a workaholic. But why was I a workaholic? I was thinking about having more money. I wasn't going to get stuck anywhere. And there's plenty of money out there. Even though you have some economists, some experts, some whoever, talking about a possible recession. And there's been talk about that for a few years. But even during a recession, like during the last Great Recession, the amount of money I was bringing in actually went up. The amount of money I was able to develop my savings. I remember there was a point during it that I needed to spend $500 just to as a deductible because I ran into a deer. That poor deer. Anyway, I had the money right there. But there was a point that I didn't have that money. There's a point I've been broke. I remember talking about a time when all I had was a nice shirt, an undershirt, a nice pair of pants, and some shoes. And I would have to come home and wash them and iron them and everything just to work. But I figured out, my thing was, okay, how can I bring in more money? What can I do? I remember one of the jobs that I got when it was a bad period was working at a gym, and I was working in sales. And Ron was hustling for those sales. Ron was hustling for those sales. I was thinking, okay, what can I do? Who can I call? How can I convince this person to get this membership so I can bring in more money, so I can get that commission? See, and that was my mindset. No matter what, no matter how bad it was like, okay, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And it's not just having money just to pay basic bills, but to have extra money in case something happened. And my thing was, I was looking at it as currency, as energy, not as some dollar bill. Because if you have a dollar bill in your wallet or purse or whatever, take it out, stick it on the ground, step on it. It doesn't wiggle. It doesn't move. Look at the numbers in your bank account. What are they? They're just numbers. It's energy. It's an idea. You can have an abundance of it. You just have to figure out what can you do for it. If you want a job, okay, what can you do to make more money? If you don't like, or you've gotten as far as you can possibly go on that job, what can you do to get another job that you can make more money? Do you have time? If you don't have children, if you don't have family, if you're single, you can work part-time. When I was working for the government, I didn't have a family. I didn't have children. I was just living by myself. I worked on a part-time job. I got a part-time job just bringing in more money. In fact, somebody else was working on that same job just to save up money to buy a motorcycle. One of the things, there's an abundance of money. Money is floating around out here. It's just a question of what you want to do to make that money. And as I said in the last Money Matters video, I see for hire signs all the time. Despite what people are saying, despite everything, there's always somebody hiring. It's just a question of, do you want to do that particular job? Do you want to do that? That's all it is. Do you want to do that particular job? And that's up to you. And if you don't, you don't. But there's so many places hiring. I remember working at a retail store at this big department store. There was plenty of people working there part-time. Plenty of people. But that's an abundance of money. You can make it. But you have to think. You have to think. It's important that you think about it. You think about what you can do. You think about what you can bring in. That's the important thing. There's an abundance of money out here. Because, let me emphasize again, it's currency, it's energy. It's not a physical thing, it's an idea. What kind of ideas do you have to bring in more money? And I'll get more into that in the next one, as I said, all right? But for the time being, though, think about what I was saying, all right? There's an abundance of money. So until then, y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.